Now that we have all the parts modeled, we're going to go into an assembly view and we need to start putting things in here. So I have actually made, well, I have a couple of extra pieces that we didn't make together, and we're going to be dealing with those as well. And if you want a copy of those, leave me a comment with the way that I can contact you and I can get those emailed off to you. Otherwise, let's just start putting this whole thing together. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and ground our base. Grounded. And oh, you know what? I don't like the way that's oriented. Let's ground our column instead. We're going to go ahead and constrain with a make constraint the axis of that with the axis of our base. Oh, I think I missed. Let's say cancel for just 1 second. Okay, try one more time. There's an axis. There's an axis. Let's hit apply. Stretch these back apart. Constrain. Mate these faces up together. Apply. And let's do a flush constraint with the bottom of this and the bottom of this. And we know it's the bottom because the top is chamfered. There we go. We're going to use an insert constraint on the table here, the bottom of the table. Again, the top side is chamfered, the bottom side is not. And our base, we're also going to be using an insert on our table pin. Here, the part that's going into it, this chamfered bit is going to go through the hole, so we have to flip that around, say apply. Our gear plate is going to match up over here, so let's go back to a mate constraint. We'll mate up the axis of a couple of these holes. That's flush. There's mate. Apply. And this may work better if I can drag this away for a second. Constrain. Let's mate those two together. And let's mate this face. Yeah, we can mate it to that face. Unless we can't. Let's try one more time. Constrain, mate this to the other side here. Okay. We want this to be mated up against here, but this is upside down, so I'm just going to drag that out for a second and say constrain this side to this side, and that should flip it around for us. And now this can still move up and down, which is what it's supposed to do. We are going to be taking our rack pad and doing an insert constraint with that part and with the hole on the bottom of the rack. We have the gear plate here, which if we switch back to a mate constraint, we can mate up, oop, missed. Try one more time. There's an axis with another axis. And I also want to make an insert constraint with these two. As long as I have one of the holes, all the other ones should match up. So that should be okay. That leaves us with just a couple of big components. Let's mate the axis of this punch holder and with the hole here. and of course this is facing the wrong way. Ooh, what just happened? Oh, that was an insert constraint. We didn't switch back to mate. Oh, that made things confusing. Let's go back to mate. We'll get the two axes. Apply. And now we can pull these back apart and look at it this way and say mate these two faces together. And I want this axis, and it's not going to show it to me easy, so I have to flip it around. That axis made it up together. Okay, and now I need more screws than what I have, but I can start off with this one. This is a simple insert constraint, and I believe it's the outside of this. It's going to go through our column and into the base here. We need more cover plate screws. We're supposed to have 7 of those. We only have 1 right now. So let's find cover plate screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We already had 1 to make 7. We're just going to use insert constraints. Get the bottom of the head and the hole it goes into. Same thing over here. Come on, computer. What happened? Oh, didn't hit apply. One more. We have the punch holder screws, and those fit in right over here. There's 2 of them. We only had 1 in the assembly, so let's place in the second one. Punch holder screw. Let's take a look at our gear here, and actually there's a couple of things to note with this. First off, for whatever reason the actuator comes in 2 separate pieces even though it's shown as 1. So we have to assemble that ourselves, which makes no sense because this should be located inside this little gearbox. But that's okay. Let's hit apply, and then again the end that's chamfered is meant to go in through another hole, so the part that gets mated is the flat piece back here. Those 2 surfaces link up. For whatever reason, we do not have a file for the key, so we're going to go to create, type in key because we're naming our part, select OK, pick a reference point, say create 2D sketch, and make sure we have the same reference point. I think it's that one. Nope, it's not. Let's go back. 2D sketch. Boy, that's hard to see. Really thought it'd be that. That is not working. Let's go back just a little bit here. Let me spin this around. I'm going to try and do this whole create thing again. I call it key. It might give us an error because we already tried key. Nope, it thinks that's okay. Let's make a 2D sketch again. Let's go from the side that we were just looking at. That's the plane that we want. There we go. Project geometry here. And we want the key to be able to turn the gear, and the gear we had a drawing of here. It says that the whole thing is 0.292, but the actual diameter is 0.257. So if you subtract the two, that's what, 0.035. So let's call it that. Let's make a little rectangle from there to there, and this height is 0.035, which would actually be right on. It'd be really tight, but that's okay. This is theoretically the best it can be. Let's extrude this out, and we're going to say, ooh, you know what? We need to go back to our sketch for a second. I don't know that we projected the geometry of this top part too. Oh no, it should be there. Let's click this one more time. Okay, because I want these both to be one part. Let's say extrude. There we go. And we want to extrude not all the way through the part, or 1 inch, but 2, and I'm going to pick the other face of this. There we go. And that's also going to mate it in there for me. Kind of. It can still wiggle, but it's good enough for now. Alright, let's go to our gear. This gear needs to be placed on here. Let's constrain mate those two faces together. Apply. Let's get this lined up with our axis here. Apply. And now, if I can rotate the gear, see if I can get it to orbit like this. Hey, it's almost like it's the shift key. Let's constrain the side of that key to the side of this. Here we go. So now what that's supposed to be simulating is that when the key, when this gearbox is turning this piston, this pin, the key is going to be turning the gear. And now the gear needs to be placed into the hole to line up with the rack. We're running out of time, so I'm not going to bother with getting it to mesh up with this exactly. That might be another video. But let's go ahead and try to align these holes together. Mate your axes. Looks good. Mate your other axis. I missed. There we go. Axis, axis. Apply. And we need to mate these faces. Of course it's going to give me trouble. Let's switch back to this. It's like it knows we're in a time crunch.